Hello, my name's He Who Is in the Water. Gonna be playing some White-Black Pestilence tonight. I had a pretty awesome weekend with this deck this past weekend on July 10th. So, kind of why I'm playing the deck again right now, one, I just have more free time right now. I had a pretty busy stretch there, but I got a little bit more time to be playing Magic now. But also, Pestilence is pretty well positioned because of the Monastery Swiftspear downshift. The red decks that play Swiftspear are pretty good matchups for us, and really importantly, they're suppressing some decks in the format that could be pretty poor matchups for us, specifically some of the combo decks and the green land destruction based mid-range decks are pretty difficult for us to find the right amount of interaction for, and having the mono red decks be able to crush those decks and kind of keep them out of the format a bit more by not allowing them to ramp as easily on the first few turns. You know, if you play a Swiftspear deck with Lava Dart versus an Arbor Elf deck, like the red deck is just really, really favored in those kind of games. Although it's not like the green decks are totally out of the format either. You've got cards like Weather the Storm that can help out quite a bit, as well as like just overwhelming the board. But the Swiftspear does put a lot more strain on those decks that are pretty fair, and we're looking to prey on bounce land strategies anyway. So, the main deck here, pretty similar to what I played last time on the channel. Inspiring Overseer is a good improvement to Priest of Ancient Lore, with just basically being the same creature with flying. It's good, but I do kind of want to temper my appreciation for it. I've seen a lot of lists that are playing 4 copies of this card in Pestilence, and I really don't think that's where you want to be. I'm closer to 0 copies than 4 copies. 2 is, I feel, a fine median for now. Median might not be the right word. 2 is a fine number to be at right now. Its stat line is really just underwhelming in the format right now. There's a lot of fairies, a lot of Battle Screech tokens going around, and it doesn't really line up particularly well against that. And there's not really a matchup in particular that Inspiring Overseer is really incredible in right now. So it's a fine card to include in the deck. I don't really feel like I want to cut it right now, but if I were to try to make some swaps in this deck right now, the first card I would be cutting is Inspiring Overseer. It's fine, but just doesn't really dominate any particular matchup. And we're kind of a mid-range deck that, when we're tuning, we want to be looking for more of those cards that are going to dominate specific matchups rather than just more okay cards. The other main change that I was playing before, I was playing some deadweights in the sideboard out of respect to Swiftspear and some of those strategies. I think I want to make the change to Journey to Nowhere, just as I see more and more of like the mono red lists come out that are playing Swiftspear. Deadweight is the most efficient way to answer Swiftspear cleanly, but there's just a lot of variation in the threat base that these decks have, so I think I just want Journey to Nowhere for now. Although I could see Deadweight coming back into the fold at a later time. I was thinking that the mono red blitz decks would be mostly Kiln Fiend and Swiftspear with maybe some like Lava Runners, and there's been more of the 2 mana 1/3, so specifically Burning Prophet and Festival Crasher have been seeing a lot more play than I expected, and I think you kind of need Journey to Nowhere instead of Deadweight to make sure that all of your removal spells answer all of their creatures. And as long as like things are up in the air, I think I just want to have some like slightly generically more powerful removal. But I could see that changing in the future. But for now, I kind of like that. Only thing that I really feel like I'm missing is I would like to sneak some Nihil spell bombs into the sideboard, but I'm not really sure what to cut for it, and I'm kind of content with how things are right now. Suffocating Fumes is like one of the lower impact cards because we already have the main deck Pestilence, but I really am hesitant to cut those because I really want to make sure that I'm always improving post board versus fairies relative to how they are sideboarding, and Fumes is just a really good way to do that, even if it, Elves is not really a contender in the metagame right now, and it's always, good to beat up on some Boros Bully players and things like that. The other kind of interesting thing in the sideboard that I've been messing around with is this kind of 4th Prismatic Strand slot that I'm playing Lone Missionary in. I do want to offer some respect to Flaring Pain out of the mono red decks, where I don't want to be so all in, because Flaring Pain is not only like the direct counter to Strands, but it's also really good with their strategy of like just casting a bunch of spells in one turn. And so I want to play into that a little less with the Lone Missionary, and also the Madness Burn deck has been pretty popular as well, and Strands is really not the all-star in that matchup that it is versus mono red burn. So I want to have a 4th Lone Missionary there just to make sure that we are playing to the board early enough and have like versatile enough answers to these decks that are really trying to hit our life total. The other card that is kind of notably absent from this list that I got some questions about is Castigate. So I think Castigate's in a really bad spot right now. The 4 main combo decks of the format that you're trying to target, if you're trying to target them, are Familiars, Cyclestorm, Goblins, and Eggtron. And all of those decks are really good at drawing cards, and through a variety of means. And I think that makes the disruption of Castigate really inadequate, because you might take like the combo card from their hand, but it's so easy for them to be churning through their deck and spending their mana otherwise that you're not really doing a whole lot with the time that you're buying, because you spent 2 mana to have them discard a card from their hand. I really think you need to be deploying creatures so that you can set up Pestilence to kind of burn them out or be a lock piece versus Goblins, for example. So it's not really good versus the combo decks of the format. It's also just not really good versus the fair decks of the format. The Boros white mid-range decks and the Fairies decks are just replete with card advantage sources, with Experimental Synthesizer going into the Boros decks, and the Moon Circuit Hacker, that's the name of the card, Moon Circuit Hacker, the newer Ninja, and the Crimson Flake Commodore still being in, or the various Monarch creatures in the Fairies lists, because Thorn of the Black Rose sees play too. There are just so many ways for those decks to generate card advantage that your Castigate is really not going to punch a meaningful hole in that. And kind of the way that Pestilence has continued to dominate those matchups is by contesting the board in those middle turns where you're just building out creatures in play. And Castigate does not really help you to that end, so I really don't want it for combo matchups. You don't want it for the fair matchups, and obviously like aggro decks, your discard spell is just like not as useful. Like it, say if you're playing versus mono red blitz, your Castigate may occasionally hit them or hit their one creature in hand, and now they just have nothing. But there's also a lot of games where they're just going to go, turn 1 Swiftspear, turn 2 Swiftspear with a burn spell, and like your Castigate is just not going to really help you out. So it's not really good in any of those matchups at this time. And kind of the one deck that I've neglected to mention during this is Affinity, where I think Castigate is really not particularly useful. It's just so easy for the Affinity player to maneuver their Mirror Enforcers around it that I don't think you're ever really going to exile it, even though exiling it is something that we're very interested in with these Bojuka Bogs and the sideboard Journey to Nowheres, and also like part of where I mentioned the desire for Nihil Spellbomb would be for the Affinity matchup. Also Dust to Dust for exiling them. So it's just a very narrow window for Castigate to hit the Enforcers, because they're generally not going to be blood founding them back from the graveyard when they don't have the ability to immediately replay them, because that's just, when you're playing the deck, that's just not really a great tempo play to do it that at that time, so you're not naturally going to be exposing that way. And the other big card that you would look to hit from Affinity is Makeshift Munitions, and Cathar Commando, I think, is just a much better card at answering that because it also applies pressure. So, Cathar Commando and Castigate don't really look like comparable cards, but that's really how I'm thinking of them in this deck, are filling a similar slot of providing these interaction points to these artifacts and enchantments that are difficult to remove, or can be more difficult for us to remove with our Cast Down Chainer's Edict deck that's just really interacting with creatures only. So, Commando is just more flexible, in addition to, it actually just kills your opponent. It's a 3/1 with Flash, and what makes White-Black Pestilence such a great deck compared to specifically White-Black Control is that you can actually just tempo people out. That's not something the White-Black Control deck ever did. Unless you consider just like turn 4 Monarch on an empty board as if that's tempo, but I don't think that's a different conversation altogether. That's about Monarch as a mechanic, I guess, but that's really what separates this deck is, having some cheap creatures with a little bit of power and some evasion, and then playing some Prismatic Strands, and then your opponent can't recover in time. And Commando is great with that game plan, as well as providing that interaction to some more difficult to interact with permanents. And the 3/1 Flash is just okay. It'll, trading with Augur or Bolas is not pretty, but it does kind of need to happen. When you're a Chainer's Edict deck that like you're making any trade, it's just kind of okay, even if it's not pretty. If you're trading down on mana or trading with ETB value. So I like it a lot more for the time being. So kind of circle back to the events that I played in with the deck. This past Sunday I played a league in the morning, and I got a trophy, and I ended up having time in the afternoon, my time to play the challenge, and that went incredibly well for me. I lost the first round, and then I won 8 in a row. I was able to win the whole challenge, which was really exciting for me. It's like working on this deck for literal years. I picked it up in the summer of 2017. So yeah, literally 5 years now I've been playing this deck. And it was just a really great experience to go all the way and win the challenge. So I don't really want to watch the replays of the of the tournament. I don't think there were interesting decision points, but I don't think it would be really something that I would be proud of producing because my experience of those games is going to be so biased by the outcome. Like there were a couple of times in top 8 where I had some really difficult decision points, and I feel okay about the decisions I made because I took the time in the moment to think about them and come up with one. But it'd be pretty easy in retrospect to just say, oh, well, these were like very clearly the right plays because the next turns played out through X, Y, and Z. And I don't really want to go through and talk about that. But let me pull up the matchups, at least to give a brief overview. Okay, so yeah, this is the 2 screenshots slammed together. Not screenshots, but images. I do tend to post my trophy or tournament results on Twitter, which I'm pulling this from now. So my Twitter is link to my Twitter is in the description of the video if you want to follow me there. As well, I do post not frequently, but when I trophy, I tend to post about it, as well as occasional other commentary from time to time. Also down in there, I did put the link to my Twitch. I don't really stream any Magic the Gathering on Twitch, but I occasionally speedrun Halo Reach, and I like to stream that there, so no obligation to engage with any of that, but I figured I would just point that out while I was talking about Twitter. So the tournament went very well. Like the league was almost all good matchups here to start with, aside from Goblins is a pretty poor matchup, but the league just went great, and so I was able to have the funds to immediately fire into the challenge. The Temur Land Destruction deck is just horrendous. That I got a game off of them is really quite lucky. The Mono Black Burn deck was just very poorly equipped. They need the creatures to turn on their spells to do a lot, and we're just pretty okay playing Cast Down Chainer's Edict into Lone Missionary, and that's just a tough amount of life gained for them to work through. Burn was actually really close in round 3. I don't think I deserved to win that match. They drew exceptionally poorly for me to be competitive. Both games 2 and 3, I believe I kept relatively removal heavy hands on like 6 and 5 because I just didn't have really great life gain creatures in my hands. So they had relatively creatureless draws, and that just didn't line up well, but they just drew land after land, and I was able to slowly get back into game 3 and find one Lone Missionary and then snowball from there. Round 4 versus Boggles was pretty standard. I actually won game 1 because of Cathar Commando, I think, which is really cool, where I was able to blow up a toughness boosting enchantment and then Pestilence for 1 after they had like a pretty slow draw. And we're a main deck Chainer's Edict right now, so like this just is pretty good. Although they beat me game 2 where I had a mulligan to 5 and kept 2 lands, 3 Chainer's Edict, and they just crushed me that game. Just had the Cartouche of Solidarities to just power through that no problem. So it's not a freebie matchup by any stretch, but it is a good one. Dimir Delver is just a really fundamentally good matchup, and it's only gotten better over time because they have to work so hard to protect their threats, and then our removal just starts eating up counterspells, and then you get to resolve things like Guardian of the Guild Pact and Custodian Squire, and then just gum up the board, and they really can't get out of that. Although I did lose game 1 because they had turn 4 Monarch on an empty board, and we got them down to their last card in the library, but they were able to kill me on the final turn that they had the ability to do so. And I flooded a little bit, not terribly, but like I just wasn't able to keep up with the Monarch. But I was like very close to winning that game, which kind of tells you how good the matchup is, that they had the Monarch since turn 4. It was like turn 20, or not 20, probably like 15 or so, and we were still in it. Round 6, I kind of punked out versus Blue-White Evoke. It was weird. Time was a factor for a lot of my opponent's decisions, and they kind of made a lot of inadequate decisions in game 3 that lost them the match. I think they would, with more time, they would have been able to win that, and I think that's just any Ephemerate deck is going to be pretty fundamentally favored versus our cast down strategy. But Guardian of the Guild Pact is a permanent that they just can't interact with, so we were able to slam 2 Guardians in game 3, and that was just enough of a clock to make them pressure them in addition to the chess clock to make some less than good decisions. But that was also a tough game 1 because they had main deck Dawnbringer Clerics, which is just a phenomenal card against our deck. I don't really want to go into all of the reasons why Dawnbringer Cleric isn't good in this deck, but it's not, in my opinion. But it's very good against us, that's for sure. Either, snagging a Chainer's Edict, gaining some life, destroying Pestilence is just really incredible versus our strategy. And so they were able to use that to pretty good effect in most of that match. But I did win by putting them to 0 life, and they had like 4 seconds on the clock, I believe. So apologies to that opponent. Untimed, get infinite time to make your decisions. That would go a lot different, but I didn't feel too bad because especially they finished with 4 seconds, but I conceded super early in game 1 because I was just thinking I had no shot in the matchup. I was just thinking I was completely dead because that's typically how it goes versus the counterspell Ephemerate lock. But game 2 took a while for me to win, but I was able to do that. And yeah, game 3 just was complicated, and they felt the pressure. I felt the pressure too. I was low on clock as well. So it wasn't just that they were not playing that slow. Those were hard games. Those were very hard games. And then you get to the top 8 here and just had 3 Fairies matchups in a row, which is just incredible luck to run into it that way. And those were great matches. A lot of tricky games that relied on core Skyfisher, which was really cool. It was really challenging because there were a lot of 0 value Skyfishers that were cast in those matches just to get them on the board and in play, and just blocking because 2/3 flyers with no text they matter a lot. So yeah, it was really cool to win a challenge. It was awesome. It's been really cool, and the feedback from that, all the congratulations has just been really awesome to feel that appreciation from the community as well. That's kind of a brief run through of what the challenge and league looked like, and we're gonna play a league now. So we'll see if I am going to, regress back to the mean and run cold to make up for how hot I ran this past weekend. It would certainly make sense. And I'm so okay with that. I'm so ready to 0-5 a league. But hopefully it goes a little bit better than that. So let's get into it. Okay, here we are for round number 1 versus Fairy. Ooh, I don't know how to pronounce that. And Sam's just a classic keep. Oh, I guess that was one card I forgot to talk about in the intro. I even made a note to talk about that. Is an Obscura Storefront. Marginal upgrade. I like it a little bit more than Kabira Crossroads. I tried replacing Scoured Barrens with this, and then playing 2 Kabira Crossroads anyway, but I found that was a few too many specifically white sources. So I think I'm going with this for now because the life gain is good, and it's basically just a 5th and 6th copy of Scoured Barrens. So I think we just get plains here. If we draw a swamp, we just get to immediately run out the Lone Missionary. And if not, we can play this a little slow. And I'm going to get the swamp now with this. A Dismal Backwater strategy suggests to me that this Bajuka Bog is going to have some value, but may not be that we're able to make much use of that. Barrenmore too? Wow, okay. But yeah, I will just drop a Lone Missionary into play. Suspecting an Augur of Bolas here? Basic Swamp? Wow, what's going on over there? Is this like 2018 Dimir Alchemy? That'd be kind of cool. Innocent Blood? Okay, I'm checking their deck size now. Okay, there's 60 cards still. Okay. I should have... probably at the site of Dismal Backwater, I should have looked at how many cards they had in deck. I'm just really under no pressure. I think I can get a little bit of value out of these Skyfishers. Although I guess if they're playing Innocent Blood but 60 cards, they probably have Monarch, so maybe this is not great. I'm not sure. Generally, if you're playing Innocent Blood, you've indicated that you want to play an old style of Magic that doesn't play cards like Monarch. So I don't know what to make of all of this yet. Important thing is going to be staying ahead on time. And they're just like very clearly representing like cast down there, so like the no value core Skyfisher. And may as well just hold on to it until we draw something else. Exclude's going to be brutal though if they're that kind of deck. Yikes. We're not good versus Exclude. Teachings for Exclude? They may even just try to caps that. I guess I have kind of run out 2 of these Basilicas if they just want to caps lock me. Yeah. Yeah, at least we get something to eat with this bog now. But picking up lands with Skyfish is like really bad versus capsize. Curse of the Bloody Tome. Fascinating. Well, we do have 2 Cathar Commandos in the main deck to deal with that. Guess I probably could have flashed out the Omen of the Dead there, but like this bog does have some marginal value here. Let's take this while they're tapped out of everything. Omen of the Dead is a nice pickup here. Another removal spell is not good. I guess I'll tap like this. This bog is getting no value right now, and this way we get to hold up Omen of the Dead, even if it's like mana inefficient to do so. Should turn off auto yields, because if they do something here, this is strange time to do this. I think I'm just going to try to run this one out here. These Chainer's Edicts don't do anything. They may have like some kind of Wrath effect that they're going to try to get into play right now. But yeah, if it's just like a couple effects like this, then I want to have as many creatures in play, and then I can just like keep doing Omen of the Dead stuff on my turn. Might need to commit to like not playing these bounce lands out whatsoever. And they're really just going for it like that? Wow. I think I'm just discarding some of these removal spells. Like the Pestilence may eventually end up mattering. The other consideration is the second Basilica. It's pretty unlikely we ever get to do that, but... Okay, Deep Analysis is targeting themselves. We get to Bajuka Bog then, which is kind of cool. They're getting back their own Bajuka Bog. Well, taking damage is probably good for me. Interesting spot where like maybe I leave them with the Chainer's Edict in the graveyard, because then they just like, if that's their whole turn, that's pretty good for us. But okay, now that we draw like another tap land that's not susceptible to capsize, I think I just Omen here. Get back Skyfisher. Like if they spend 7 of their 10 mana to edict me, I think I'm okay with that while they take 4 damage. Yeah, maybe this was bad, because now this turn seems like it benefits them a little bit more. Maybe I made a blunder. Ooh. Right, with the bog in hand, that was probably a bad play on my part. At least this Curse of the Bloody Tome helps fuel our Core Skyfisher. We'll attack for 2. Play Omen. Don't get anything back. Put in the Skyfisher. I think I'm just playing a basic swamp here. This curse has been doing work, but we still got like a pretty reasonable amount of time, and they're getting close enough like where if we can start to develop our mana. I guess it never really happens with Capsize. We can start to deal some damage with Pestilence. Interesting. No removal at all. I think I'm just going to test the waters here. Put one of these in. One of these. I think that's... This is 3 of 4, so we don't have a ton of these left in the deck, but if my creatures are sitting in play, I'm happy to do this. So I don't want to do anything right now, but like on their end step, I will activate twice. Because turning on Disfigures is not terrible. Hello, Moto, please? Please? Come back. Yeah, I'd be surprised if they did anything else there with the Capsize in hand. Or the Exclude in hand, I mean. Yep, so they exclude here. We get one Skyfisher through. And then we get to bog away. Get some nice F6 value on their turn, which is pretty valuable here. don't believe we know of any bogs on hand. But again, the Curse of the Bloody Tome here, like making sure that Omen of the Dead has fuel is like pretty valuable to us. Have we seen a cast down yet? They might. Wait, what's the most recent card we've seen? This could actually just be a 2016, 15. Vintage Masters, I think, is like the most recent card we've seen from them. Alright, Counterspell is like now problematic with this Omen of the Dead, but that's okay. All of this stuff is just happening, so I think I'm just like inclined to keep putting Core Skyfishers in. Or I haven't made a land drop yet. Okay, they're targeting their Bajuka Bog. Okay, that's... I don't know what to make of that, because like I have the Omen of the Dead in hand. So I'm going to be able to stop part of it. I'm going to like at least keep one Skyfisher, it seems. So like probably starts with Evankar's Justice for a little bit. Yep. Right, okay. So I get to keep one Skyfisher here. Yeah, and this is the only Skyfisher I have left for the game. Tad unfortunate. Ooh, okay. I was just going to say milling the Pestilence there is unfortunate, but then we drew Custody Squire, so life is good. So this is going to apply pressure to them that they have to hold up Counterspell or be dead. And I think I'm just going to bog away Deep Analysis for good measure. That doesn't make a ton of sense. I probably should have just picked up... It doesn't matter. I don't think that's really what this game is about now. Because their life total is so low. But like if they chain like Pristine Talismans together, it certainly gets ugly. They went bottom with the Preordain. Cool. Alright. Omen of the Dead there. Putting in a tremendous amount of work. So basically these 13 cards are fine to bring in. And these 8 cards I definitely do not want. And it's possible that I want to trim some number of Pestilences. Which I think I do. Kind of okay going down all of them just for like more value creatures. To just keep overwhelming them. Dust to Dust are probably the worst. Since I'm up a game, may get a little greedy and just not get them. Presumably for Pristine Talismans are in their deck. I'd be shocked if they didn't have Pristine Talisman. But with 2 Cathar Commando, I think that might just be enough to manage that. Yeah, I don't think I think Pestilence is better than Suffocating Fumes, even just cycling. Prismatic Strands is weird in the matchup, but like stopping an Evankar's Justice is pretty valuable at times. And it's probably worse than the third Strands is probably not as good as this one here. It's the cycling, just a random card. Yeah, I think I like this. Alright. This hand is a keep. It's got lands, it's got spells. Bounce land on the draw is always a bit of a shame, but, you know. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But I can just put Omen of the Dead into play if I want to. Or we can just rip. Seems possible they have exclude, so I just want to... Yeah, okay. So we got enough of a board here that they need to like manage this a little bit. And then we can... Ooh, cycle only sandbar. That's good for me. That's very good for me. So 100% just main phase commando, kill this, rebuy with Omen of the Dead. Totally fine. Mole Drifter here would be pretty bad. But they seem kind of dedicated to being creatureless. get in for our damage, as is our custom. We'll just put the Ribbon Inspector into play. Crack the clue, probably play Swamp. Just flash in Commando on their end step. So I think I'm okay doing nothing here. What land do I want to play? I guess actually just Thin to win is probably right. I will get the additional white source though. Like, we do have Pestilence that we want black pips for, but okay. I don't think I want to just play Commando out into a Wrath here. Unfortunate that, like, now I've played in a way that I'm weak to Evankar's Justice, which they probably have with buyback. Yeah. That was not great for us. Maybe I shouldn't have attacked with one of those creatures. Curious, okay. There's a lot of options available to us right now. But I think I just really want to kill this Pristine Talisman. Guess I probably should have done this in the damage step. No, this is fine actually. This is fine. Yeah, I think I want to let them go to their turn. Because I'm thinking about Omen, get back Cathar Commando, flash it in, kill the Oubliette. But I think I only want to do that if I think I'm getting to Okiba Gang Shinobi, and I think I want to like leave out Chainer's Edict as a possibility. Even though I guess this is worse versus Teachings for Exclude. Or just the exclude itself, that's okay. Now let me cast the spare supplies first, see if I draw anything that makes me want to do something different. I do not. So now I'm just going to put in Okiba Gang Shinobi. Keep applying pressure. Pretty easy for them to answer it here, but we just got to keep playing this 1-for-1 game until spare supplies can take over. Guardian's an okay draw. I think we just put this one in play. Can very easily have an edict go get an exclude with their mystical teachings. All of these things may happen, probably will happen. Capsize the bounce land. So, I don't want to say I love it, but like I'm pretty at peace with that. Yeah, that's the fear. It's just interesting because like if they have nothing they want to be doing, then like you want to capsize on their turn so that like I have fewer resources. Just kind of have to pretend that the bounce lands don't exist anymore. I guess I could have technically cracked Clue Token there to try and hit exactly another Thraben Inspector, but this line is fine. Okay. You've stopped my tomfoolery for now. Just gonna put this into play to start pecking away at some more damage. Thin to Win with Obscura Storefront. One card plus capsize. 2 cards plus capsize. That's pretty good here. think I'm actually going to just leave up prismatics. I mean, not... I'm kind of leaving up prismatic strands. I guess what I'm really doing is just not deploying into the board further. I guess now if they want to, like, kill the Thraben Inspector, or... I don't know. I just need to do anything that makes my opponent play more Magic. They can't win two games in 6 minutes from here. That's just not happening. Like, whatever I do to just prolong this game is just fine, I think. Just take game actions. This doesn't really matter. We'll be okay. This does, like, there was, like, some thought also there with how I picked up put the Basilica in play. Like, now we have 3 white to, like, do some different sequencing on our turn. We'll put in 2 Thraben Inspectors first, and then we'll cast the Skyfisher. So that way if they remove 1, we're, like, still getting value regardless. I know I'm cracking a clue, so I may as well use my sorcery speed clue with spare supplies, and then we'll just pass the turn. On their end stuff, I will crack another clue. I'll yield until end of turn. If they want to get me with a capsize on a clue token, they got me. Not really what this game is about. Good Bajuka Bog. So look at this Patrician Scorn coming in. I don't want to say clutch, but like mattering. Nice. Alright. It was a bit of a grind to start out, but we're 1-0. I'll see you for round number 2. Alright, we're versus 420 Dragon, the Gate Master himself. Yeah, so probably an indicator at the time of recording this. Before recording this, I was lurking briefly in his Twitch chat, which is his Twitch channel is great. You should go watch him. He's awesome. He was playing a blue-white Gates deck, so presumably still in that league. And that deck looked pretty weak to Pestilence in the main deck. Also had a lot of tokens. So is this a Chainer's Edict Guardian hand going to be good enough? I think it probably is. I'm okay to keep it. I've got a bounce land. I'm on the play. Like, it's kind of broken. Like, they have some tap lands in their deck, so just like making land drops is just going to be pretty good for us. This has probably just raised the alarm from them. I'm just going to main phase this. Get my tap friend into play. Got a lot of things to be doing here, so I'm happy to just take the Scoured Barrens back to hand. believe at some point we'll have the opportunity to get that back into play for some value. So on our turn, we're likely just going to be playing Guardian of the Guild Pact. Cathar is not going to do much here, but it's basically going to like Maze of It the token every turn. That's pretty handy. That counts as gaining life. Don't believe I saw a counter magic from their deck. So the Doctor is in. Yeah, they played some pieces of the puzzle in Augur Bolas in there. It's a pretty cool deck. Okay, not preordaining here though. I don't know what that means. Don't know what that means. 1 mana instant speed? Is this a Convoke card? I'm attacking into it, I guess, whatever it is. Nope, nothing. Yeah, I'd love to draw the card Pestilence right now. I think that'd be really cool. They left the blue up again, so this is something. This has to be something. It's Spell Pierce? It's gotta be Spell Pierce. There's my read. Okay. Spell Pierce. Need to think about that. Pestilence kinda naturally leads you to play good against Spell Pierce, which is handy. Because like you want to have mana up to activate with it. This is a lot of bird friends. I think we're just dead to like any Guardian's Pledge effect. Excuse me. The snapping off a block here to preserve life total. We can redraw cards with this Thraben Inspector anyway if we draw a Skyfisher, which we do. Alright, 4 spike is illegal. If it's been 4 spike you've been holding up this whole time, you got me. I don't think I'm attacking this turn. Because now I have 3 blocks on the ground creatures. And if they have an Anthem, I take 15 in the air. They cast their Thraben Inspector. I think I'm okay trading off a little bit here. Like the game right now is about Pestilence, and can I draw it? I'd like to keep making game actions that let me survive. Oh, remember when I didn't attack with the Guardians that turn? It was, I think it was a fine lack of attack, but boy howdy, it looks a little scary now that I'm, like, imagine if they're at 6 here, they're just dead. Oh, maybe that was bad. Maybe that was too safe. Don't know. If they're doing math here, it's probably bad for me. I wonder if that blue mana they left out, maybe they thought hard evidence was the instant. No, he knows. He knows. It's gotta be Spell Pierce. Gotta be Spell Pierce. What other, like, one blue instant would you possibly play in that deck? Like, I'm sure there's, like, free spells that they might play, like the, could totally see a, the Ramosian Rally. There we go, Ramosian Rally. Or some, Light of Hope was a card he expressed interest in before. Maybe that's the one. I don't know, I feel like those turns, it would have made plenty more sense to preordain rather than try to hold up Light of Hope. We're probably going to get pretty bailed out for these suffocating fumes in the sideboard. I sure do lose to a lot, but these are my blocks. If I just attack that one turn, I win here, but... Well, that's... But so they had the Anthem, so like if I attack with the two Guardians, then maybe they do push on that turn in particular. Yeah, That's what happens when you keep 5 landers, though. That is what happens. Oop. So I want Strands to counter the Anthem effects, and I want Suffocating Fumes to counter the rest. Cathartic Commando looked really bad. Lone Missionary can trim a copy. Thraben Inspector's okay. Inspiring Overseer's kind of poor. Does block a lot, but you're just like trading 1 for 1 as you go that big. We do have fewer creatures here, but I think that's okay. Happy to ship it like this. Can trim some amount of removal, but easy mulligan. Let's keep is fine. Bottom the Chainer's Edict, I think. Yeah, maybe I should board out more removal. The game's just like about the sweepers and not the small ball. Really need to hit an Orzhov Basilica, though. Really need to draw Orzhov Basilica this game. I accept you, Basic Planes. I am happy to work with you. Ooh, that mana efficiency. Let Moto do its thing for a little bit. Twirly whirly. Okay. Yeah, I'm just putting Thraben Inspector into play. Don't spellstutter or spray me. Please don't. Did talk about Spell Pierce before, but this is fine for us. Maybe should have thought about that possibility more, but that's fine. Spare Supplies is not really what this game is about. Yeah, trading with soldier tokens is fine here. These Thraben Inspectors aren't doing a whole lot. Ground combat's just kind of become pretty irrelevant due to Guardian. It is funny that like Guardian and Omen plus Skyfish are just like block Scat Basilisk Gate pretty hard. Yes. Yes, the best card in the deck. It's not close. So they put pieces of the puzzle and prismatic strands into their hand, okay. Pay for Spell Pierce. Negate is fine, so now we get to Skyfisher, get back Spare Supplies, continue to lock things down, and then we can Custodia Squire, get back the Pestilence. Oh, this is impossible to read. They put Spell Pierce into their hand. Okay, that's what it's supposed to be. Oh, and the pieces that they cast. This Thraben Inspector is actually also pretty funny here. Just incredible mana efficiency this game. I think we'd be in fine shape without it lining up so well, but like it certainly helps. I'm not blocking if they pump their Luminous Phantom and attack, so I'm happy to attack with my core Skyfisher here. So they can put up to 2, so they can choose to leave the Battle Screech if they want, but they take the hard evidence in the Battle Screech. Okay. Okay. You know, 4 of the 6 cards, I'm gonna jam the Pestilence again. Second Spell Pierce is fine. Okay. I think I just want to activate once. It's okay. So now that my flyers can start attacking through. Ground creatures don't really matter because they only matter if they get pumped up by Basilisk Gate. And currently not an issue. Sure, they may have like a removal spell for Pestilence here, but then there's now there's the flyers that they're behind on. It's unlikely that they have a white removal spell for Pestilence and Battle Screech, which would be the best way for them to get back in the game. So I feel pretty good. Backup Pestilence is nice. And here I'm happy just to start attacking with Guardian as well. Sure. It is a lot of gates. Nice. So I can put them to 12, attack for 7, put them to 5. I have 5 black sources in play. So yes, activating Pestilence twice here I think is a good thing to do. They can have something that does something here, but this is just fine. Yeah, like another Strands is okay. That's... Yep. Revoke existence and negate. Still don't think I want to do anything here. Don't think that's worth it. Get back a 3B baby. And yeah, we're just gonna bog them right now. Oh, they could have raised the alarm prismatic strands. That's something I didn't think about. But now they're just pretty dead. Like, they have to start getting some creatures in play, and that taps them out of sources to hold up negate. The mana is like actually really costing them right now. Like the basic island and their battle screecher deck plus these 3 Basilisk Gates, like there's a cost that's happening right here. I think it might be worth it still, certainly, but there's a cost that's happening right now. Much like you can point to other games where we get tempoed out and we have tap lands that gain mediocre amounts of life, and you could say, hey, that mattered. So upon review, I think I do want these Inspiring Overseers over Chainer's Edicts. Didn't see anything worth edicting. I don't know if we get to take anything else out though. I guess Journey to Nowhere is like a little better, because that hits the flyers in particular. Sure. Sand is great. Slow, a little clunky, but that's alright. Lone Missionary goes a long way to shoring that up. I think it's actually just Guardian to discard. They didn't really show any way of interacting with it, so I think the first one will be fine. They just got a Rally the Peasants. Okay. I'll just journey their creature so they can't battle screech me. So Negate and Spell Pierce are the permission pieces we're interested in not losing to. That's a really nice turn from them. I think I'll just put another journey in, and I think I kill the token here. So that way if I draw a Core Skyfisher, I get some like immediate value off of it. Also, I guess if they have their own Revoke Existence, that becomes better for... We've got like fewer targets. Yeah, this is fine. So fine. So we know 3 of the 4 cards in their hand. But the fact that like nothing is going on makes me think that I just want to wait on the Pestilence, even though it lets them like get closer to negate. With that in mind, I will simply not play into anything right now and just cast this. Guardian's going to be doing a lot of blocking this game. Things got to be pretty bad for it to attack. Preordain's gone. Alright, I think now is the time for Pestilence. If they have Pierce into the Revoke existence, it gets a little ugly, but they did not, so things are looking fine for us. And now their turn has to start with Revoke Pestilence, and just forcing the action on that is pretty good for us. The 4th Basilisk Gate. So it's a large auger. That's okay for us. It's actually pretty good for us, to be honest. Because now we get to Custodia Squire back the Pestilence, which is a lot better than having it get Revoke existence, although it's still vulnerable. This game brought to you by Guardian of the Guild Pact, though. Okay, pieces. Those planes. Augur, Lunarch Veteran, Raise the Alarm Strands go to hand. Yes, that is corroborated by this over here. Cool. Very cool. Fumes is a nice one just to put the cherry on top. I think I'm just going to journey the Lunarch Veteran here. I've got Thraben Inspector here, so on their turn I can, if they try to go for Raise the Alarm into double rally, then I just get to Strands, untap Pestilence plus Fumes. It's just a lot of difficult things for them to work through right now. This was actually a really bold attack by Guardian. I probably should not have done that, and kind of telegraphs my play to some extent, but that's okay. I think it's going to be good here anyway. Both cards that they've drawn have to be counterspell. So I guess I'll block like this in case they did just go double Spell Pierce. Yes, white is the color I wish to stop. Alright, good to know about. And just pass the turn here. Should not have let that resolve. Okay, regroup. What's the plan now? What is the plan now? Taking 8 damage is fine. That is fine. 13 is safe. I'm going to attack on their turn with my two flyers. They're probably going to strands. Then I can bog the strands. Right. Okay. I think I just want to have them commit more mana with the Basilisk Gate here into the Suffocating Fumes. I think that's better than them drawing Negate. A little more concerned now that they've got Augural Loss. Seen one Negate. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, raise the alarm is fine. I don't know what this means. It's a weird attack. Just means another strands, I guess, but yeah, so this is fine. Choose white. And I think I don't get any more greedy than this, and I just take my fumes. They gain a bunch of life, but that's okay. They can beef up 2 friends here, but I guess cast down is going to do enough to hold down the fort. I'd love to draw some spells that are good. Another strands? Oh, this game's just gonna go on forever. I can't draw a spell to get me out. It's just like very marginal here. It's better than nothing, I guess. So we still attack here. Get in for our 5 damage. Believe I'm supposed to fumes post-combat. Black here. Name white. I guess not. Okay, now I'm like pretty set to attack. No, I have to wait another turn because if they just have raised the alarm, it's so bad for us. Yeah, if they just have raised the alarm into like... something else, it just goes badly. So I think I wait here. And I just get to strands again. So they still have the raise the alarm line available to them. It is what they have. Okay. This 3 life is annoying too. Okay. I have 6, 9, 14 mana. If I Skyfisher, Squire, that's 7 mana. I have 7 left. I go Pestilence. I have 3 mana left. I eat all of or no, I deal 3 damage to them. And I win the game. By damage. That seems good. I should take the line that wins me the game. And if they have some spell in hand, that's crazy that that's exactly's, but by the way, but I think we have like a pretty good shot there. Even if that's not exacts. Oh boy. 2 absolute grind fest to start us off, but we're 2-0. Okay, round number 3 versus Iron Beagle. And this hand's not a keep. It is in fact a mulligan. And this hand is great. And I'll just put back plains so that we can go turn 1 barons, turn 2 spare supplies. The forest pass, what? Defenders? Defenders. I think that's defenders. Maybe a weird Boggles draw. Okay, I'm more worried. Blocking isn't a thing that we get to do, so I think it's best just to spare supplies here. And we're probably dead now. It's one of those things where it's like, you'd think these would be really good matchups, but decks like this just prey upon you having too slow an interaction. Like back in the day, when Gush was legal, Is It Blitz and Tireless Tribe were actually like pretty challenging matchups. It was like, I felt that they were like 40-45% matchups. Like you have the tools to compete in them, but like they're just so efficient with cards. I mean, Might of Old Crosa is new, but like cards like that, which just make it difficult to do anything, and we're just dead. I guess I will ask to see more of their deck, if they let me. Alright. Blighted Agent is just not a card we can really beat. We're playing a mid-range creature deck with like a tremendous number of creatures that we've decided to play because they block. And when blocking isn't part of the equation, things are a lot worse. They're a lot worse. So we can put away Omen of the Dead. Our creatures are not really going to be dying. Cathar Commando is okay. Guardian of the Guild Pact is far too slow and not super relevant. Pestilence will be fine. Squire might be okay. Lone Missionary doesn't have text, so I guess Guardian of the Guild Pact's a little bit better than that. Don't think I want to play Patrician Scorn just to like fog a Rancor in particular. I don't think I want that, so I will bring these in. Yeah, I think Cathar Commando is probably just better than Guardian of the Guild Pact. That's like the other consideration, but I think just clocking them for damage is going to be better there than maybe interacting. Here's hoping they just draw Glistener Elves. That Blighted Agent just never comes back. I'd like that. That'd be nice. Not that I can complain too much again. I've just run so hot that I can't ask for too much more. That this league has gone so well as is. I'm just very, very pleased with all of it. Another mulligan. His hand is great. And I think because we have a 2-3 curve, I just want to put back Obscura Storefront. So that we can interact, or just like start developing out the Inspiring Overseer. Which looks great in a matchup like this, I'll tell you that. I think this will be as good a time as we will to have our tap lands get into play, so I think I'm just inclined to do so. Don't believe there's a 1 green flash creature that would mess us up there. So I'm going to Journey now because I presume they have some like Apostle's Blessing type effect. And Chainer's Edict does not get stopped by those, but Journey to Nowhere does. Flip side is if they have like a Young Wolf or something, but I don't know that they would. Okay. We can beat 1 creature. And this sets us up nicely that next turn we can go Pestilence, activate it in our end step to force them to use a pump spell. Nature's Claim is also horrific. We're probably dead now. Oof. That's very bad. Oh yeah, that's lethal damage right there. I don't think you activate or cast Mutagenic Growth like that to not. What? Okay. Alright, well I'm gonna try for it. So kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, like these are the kind of matchups where we have the tools, but it's just pretty easy for our opponent to like try to get under them. So I do want to do this in my end step, so that way if they lose all of their creatures, I quote unquote fog another turn out of them by forcing them to play no creatures, which is to my benefit. I don't think I will set an upkeep stop for this Ash Barrens. You can Mutagenic Growth to save it, or Apostle's Blessing. It's fine. So with 3 cards, they have to come up with 6. Okay. Does kind of just put our hand face up, but I think that's just kind of the nature of the business. We do have Chainer's Edict flashback next turn, so that's pretty cool. They could just like draw more lands or some non-lethal pump spells. We've made it past the Might of Old Croja phase of the game. That's awesome. Or phase of the turn, pardon me. There are a lot of things we could hit with spare supplies, but I think it's better just to take the guaranteed interaction of Chainer's Edict. Okay, they're sacrificing. That's awesome. Maybe they have like a Nature's Claim. They're thinking about hitting my spare supplies. It's a lot of lands. I think I'm just gonna do this so I can flash in Cathar Commando and activate spare supplies. I didn't attack. That's good. Been a while since we've had like a real bad misclick. I don't know how catastrophic that actually is, but look at this sick Cathar Commando value. I think I do just activate it now, so that whatever effect they use to protect it will be not in play on my turn. I messed this up again. Oh, come on, brain. Yeah, I need to actually pick up Thraben Inspector because I may want to access the second card off of spare supplies this turn. And I'm only losing 1 mana and mana efficiency by doing one of these creatures instead first. So this is actually what I want to do. Okay, I'll remember to attack for 2 this turn. That's 3 damage. I've just missed this game because that Thraben Inspector attack would be good too. Oof. Oof, oof, oof. Still died to a lot here. Like Might of Old Crosa, Might of Old Crosa, Rancor. I'm nowhere close to blocking all that. Less than that, I think we're in good shape. I don't think they have much that gives trample at instant speed, so I think this block is quite comfy. They don't really make too many cards like that. There are some. Okay. So attack like this. Play Skyfisher, replay Inspector, play Guardian. And this leaves me with a lot of toughness to block with. Eight to be precise. This is a tense turn here. So I guess worth noting that the 3 damage I missed there did not end up super changing the outcome of this game, but we'll see how this turn goes. Like, I think the main ways they give trample are Rancor and Llanowar Augur. Maybe, is a Llanowar Augur like the 1-drop from Time Spiral that's an 0/3 that you have to activate during your upkeep? That one gives trample. Alright, so I guess the first way that they would have survived is if they had Nature's Claim to hit their Ichor Mirror here. We have now stopped that with our Cathar Commando. Hopefully. But if this fails, I'm still going to put a Skyfisher and a Thraben Inspector into play, so I will be able to block. I did a lot of that. I did actually think about that, I swear. I didn't just like right-click attack all and luck into that. I did think about that. So some gears in my brain are turning right now, but not all of them. Okay. I don't think I want to change how I sideboard it. I think I generally like that. Dust to Dust is not worth it just for Ichor Mirror. Well, I'm really testing my old card names. There's a lot going on here. 3 very strange matches so far this league. This is quite unusual. Although the Gates deck is like kind of up and coming. Although that's a very different iteration of Gates than what Zune, I don't know how to pronounce their username, ZOOOHN, won the challenge with when they were first legal with Sacred Cat and such. So that's a different build, but like it is becoming more a stable part of the metagame. But then like Infect and Creatureless Control. This is very, very old school. This hand is awkward on the draw, but I think we just have to hope to rip a basic land, and it's pretty good. And we did. Nice. So just don't have the turn 2 kill, please. Okay, no Might of Old Crocia. Bladed Agent is fine. Hope to just run them out of creatures sooner than later. Second island is tough for them on that mana base. Wow. I think I just take this hit here and then flash in Cathar Commando. I think I just need to kill one of these blighted agents right now, try to waste a spell from them. And then I'm just gonna start holding up strands for a while. Looks like Apostle's Blessing. It was something else. Okay. Okay. Go to 1. Legally not 0. Okay. Because of the flashback on strands here, like, I'm okay if, like, Spell Pierce is the one that is, like, the most annoying, but, like, if they have a negate, it's gonna come up, so, like, I don't care if they burn the negate right here, right now. Another strands is nice. These can block, right? Yeah. So probably going to flash in Cathar Commando. And try to, alright. Blue is the color I am naming. We have not drawn well this game, or this match. We've drawn a lot of clunkers. So we still have a lot of good draws. Pestilence, Suffocating Fumes are all just absolute knockouts here. Wow. We might be coming out of this. What is that mana base? I have questions. My brain is shrinking rapidly, though. We do have this Chainer's Edict in the graveyard, so like we can... force a chump block to happen right now. I guess we lose to like literally any pump spell that protects this. But they don't have that, so that's cool. I don't really know what just happened, to be honest with you. That was weird. I think my opponent flooded for sure. I mean, this is 8 lands and like presumably like a 16 to 18 land deck. Which is like part of the issue of Infect is like your 16 to 18 lands to like have your pump spells, but you can't be like 2 colors at that point because like it's not, Pauper mana bases don't quite let you do that. But that's wild. We beat triple Blighted Agent with like my mono garbage creature white mid-range deck with no sweepers, with 3 remote, like or I guess 4 removal spells if you count the Chainer's Edict, but like that was, yeah, like we didn't even have a particularly strong hand. We drew a lot of lands here. Alright, I can't draw any more cards, that's fine. Alright. Well, that's gonna do it for round number 3 here. These 3 matches have fried my brain, so I'm gonna split this league up into 2 recording sessions, but you won't notice anything, so we'll see you for round number 4. Okay, we are refreshed and back for round number 4 versus Kisara 0339. This hand's pretty good. Definitely keep, it's just kind of interesting what we actually do here. So we could just go Plains Inspector. I mean, Plains is definitely happening. But do we want to Inspector or cycle Ash Barrens? I think we're just cycling Ash Barrens. We'll have plenty of opportunities to get Inspector down in the future. And it's really important that we start drawing cards to get our mana situation better. Mountain Pass makes me think Blitz, that just has a bunch of 2-drops. Which this hand is really quite poor versus, because now we're stumbling. You're just very dead. I think we just try to deploy some creatures, hope that blocking is going to be a productive thing to do here. It's never going to be versus Kiln Fiend, but I can hope. I fear. I have to have 2 spells to kill here, and Giant Growth? Okay. That's an honest magic card right there. Mutagenic Growth for lethal, probably? Yep. Alright. 30 minus 5 is 25, and my life total is okay. That's a little overkill. That's fine though. So we bring in these 6 cards. Tremon Pestilence, Tremon Guardians. I think I'm okay to Tremon Omen of the Dead. We are going to be blocking a lot, and that card is good when we're blocking, but I don't think that's really going to be what the games are about. It's like infinite jump blockers. Going to be more about stabilizing and then racing. Guardian's like an okay card, it's just very inefficient for the matchup. The protection doesn't really matter. It's horrible versus Flaring Pain. And yeah, just a pretty good way to die. This hand's got 2 removal spells, both colors of mana, stuff to do. I think this is a keep. Yeah, this matchup I don't feel incredible about. I think it's okay. Probably close to even, to be honest. Yeah, I'd call it probably an even matchup. Like the burn the mono red burn, when they incorporate Swiftspear, that's like incredible news for us. But this deck is just very consistent at executing its game plan. And sometimes, like we just saw there, you play Pestilence, you're playing 2-color mid-range with no card selection, you're going to have some awkward draws that happen sometime, and they're very good at capitalizing on that. Okay, no Swiftspear is great for us. I think I'm just going to put spare supplies into play. If they didn't have Swiftspear last turn, they don't have it now, so I think the attack is fine. But you do want to be pretty aggressive about like leaving creatures back. Okay, that's fine. If we get to the stage of the game where they're escaping that, I feel like we're in okay shape. It's a very weird Metamorphose. Okay, Pestilence Crasher. So I'm definitely casting this down. Definitely not attacking it. Am I playing Spare Supplies, activating Clue Token, or casting Lone Missionary? I think I want to cast the supplies. Another Basilica is not a bad draw. I don't know if I'm jumping this turn, but the one damage that they're not taking here is, I think, worth the option to choose to jump. Probably not jumping right now with the crash there. And now we're just priced into Prismatic Strands, I think. And that'll open up the door for some other activities. Of course, Flaring Pain Heater just destroys us. But if they don't have anything, we get to hang back a lot. Okay, I will let them flash back the Lava Dart. This is enough for me to want to Strands, because I'm taking 10 here. Nice, that worked. It's like we're not even really doing the Pestilence thing right now. Like, I'm just gonna go Chainer's Edict, Own Missionary, and just pass the turn with Strands up. Leaving back Thraben Inspector, because if they start on Lava Dart for Lone Missionary, like, it's a tougher position to want to Strands flashback from. Easy trade. I'm just trading this Apostle's Blessing with Lone Missionary. Yeah, I don't care. This is great for me. Here's probably as good of a chance as we'll have to get Pestilence in play. Deal with the one Rage Hound. Okay, this is a spot where we get to do some cool Skyfisher shenanigans. Yeah, let's do those. Alright, so we start off, activate Pestilence for 1, Skyfisher, pick up Thraben Inspector, activate Pestilence again, play Thraben Inspector. So that way we end up with 2 creatures in play. They get nothing, and we're reasonably safe from like a removal spell there. So now if they Rager again, we Pestilence with Skyfisher activation, then we just keep drawing with clues, and nice, that was a clean game. So definitely looks better to have Journey to Nowhere versus Underworld Ragehound. Festival Crasher was a card I talked about in the intro, but Underworld Ragehound was not really on my radar as much. So Suffocating Fumes is like the one card that kind of changes in that respect, but I think I'll still just leave it there. Maybe I want Omen of the Dead instead of Custody Squire. Is that better? That's probably better. Yeah, let's do that. That I probably should have done that just to keep my curve very low. Yeah, because it doesn't take a ton of card advantage to go over the top of them. It's just making sure that your early turns are very mana efficient. This one's good. We're missing like a creature to flashback the strands, but double cast down is just, it's what we're here to do. And looks like they've got some 2-drops, so we're going to have time to deploy these, which is phenomenal news. I'm happy to main phase the cast down. Certainly, like if they have the Apostle's Blessing, this is fine. I just take less damage from this one. Although they do get to like use their mana in different ways on their turn, but still fine for us. And I think I play the Basilica here. So we have the option next turn to go like untap land, spare supplies cast down, or play the tap land and Prismatic Strands, which is a pretty nice flexibility to have. Okay, 2 Swiftspear is a little spooky. I think I just want to remove creatures from play. More foes with only Swiftspear in play is like pretty good for us. Just really hoping that they don't get to deploy more creatures. Am I dead? Dead to Battle Rage plus free spell. Or no, that's just lethal right there. Oh yeah, okay. Oh. Punished for not holding up Prismatic Strands. I don't know if that's something I'm actually supposed to do. Very difficult to do 15 with the Swiftspear. Maybe I should have seen Brute Force in their opener or in game 1, and I should be respecting that more. It's on me. But it's a new deck to the format. Learn how to play against it. That's how it goes. Brute Force and Underworld Ragehound are certainly considerations to be aware of. Alright, on to the last round. Okay, round number 5. Let's go. Hero 94. And sounds fine. Like a Chainer's Edict away or Cast Down away from like really being where I want. That's just okay. We've got things to do. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Cleansing Wildfire decks are pretty good versus us, also just very good versus this Basilica, but I have to put it into play. It's my only other land. This is good. Our opponent understands that their Wildfire ramp is more important than my disrupting me. Yeah, I think I'm just playing Storefront here. I think I actually want to draw land, so I want to sequence in that way and not thin first. Don't think it hugely matters. Probably dead to a monarch creature. Yep. Yep. Sometimes it's like that. I think we just need to find interaction. First and foremost. Foretelling? Bolting me? That's so aggressive. I like the aggression, but to be honest, I don't entirely understand. Not really worried about their graveyard on this turn cycle, and I think maybe giving myself the out to an untapped land is useful. If they just have this Packmate here, Chainer's Edict might get us back into it. And like they've already used 2 bolts, so like the bolt to stop the Thraben Inspectors in here is like now a thing that's not happening. Alright, so they look like they're pretty F6'd. So I'm just going to attack with 1 Thraben Inspector. I don't think they have Snuff Out. Because like having this back to block a boarding party is pretty good value. So against all likelihood, we're in this game. That's a good one. Yeah, I just don't really care about what's in their graveyard right now. How do I play this game? It's kind of awkward. Yeah, I guess I'm just running out Custody Squire here. And you're gonna start trying to attack in the air. And I just don't need these spare supplies. I've got like a bunch of clue tokens in play. I've got the ability to access them later. Cards are not really my choke point, and I don't need to like limit my options on any other access of card in my hand. So if they have like boarding party or Altasaur into boarding party into attack or into removal spell and attack, we're in trouble. But like barring that, I think we're in okay shape. I think an easy trap to fall into there is like cast downing the Packmate, and I think that's something we can pretty reasonably be patient about. Geomancer's Gambit? Cannonade. Wow. Okay. Chainer's Edict is illegal. You can't have it. This is actually like not the worst exchange of resources for us. But looks weird. Getting the Monarch back is like pretty good here. That's okay. Yeah, I think I just like get back another Thraben Inspector as a chump blocker. I think we're gonna be able to draw through our deck enough to like find another Skyfisher to like go infinite with Omen of the Dead, and I'd really just like to protect myself this turn from more haste creatures. What a strange game. Commando's great too. Like 2 mana, kill a boarding party. This card's pretty good sometimes. Although you could argue that Castigate is itself really good in this matchup, and you'd probably be right, but if you're building your deck for this matchup, just probably just A, give up, but B, like How? This deck is not particularly popular. Alright, boarding party is illegal. You can't have boarding party. It would be rude. I appreciate you understanding it would be rude. I could get cheeky with the commando, but like it's quite reasonable that their hand is just more removal. And I would like to remain the monarch because remaining the monarch means that Guardian gets to block. And the lad is good at blocking. Okay. Here's the plan. We attack. So Galvanic Blast is like horrific news here. So I think we just have to, like, I would love to play Pestilence here and like wipe this away and like leave more things on, leave the Pestilence and play to like deal with more haste creatures, but I just don't believe that's a luxury we have now until we like draw some lone missionaries. Because it means that they have a lot of burn in their deck. They're probably 4 bolt, 4 Gal Blast, and it's just not something I want to go to like 7 over. No, please don't. No. No. Oh, we were so close. Our lone missionary. Lone missionary. Lone missionary. Please? Guess I thin a little bit here first, and then I draw once more. Nope. Alright, so I'm going to put Cathar Commando into play. Probably just discard 2 Pestilences. Lose to like basic landing non-land card. Yeah, that's just... It's not like... So this matchup's horrible. We can't win this matchup. It's just not possible, but like... We were so close to like stabilizing. We just needed a lone missionary in our top 37 cards. And I think we have a pretty good shot. But we didn't. But also let that be a lesson to you. Play lone missionary. Just play the card. I get so mad about Dawnbringer Cleric. Like, imagine Dawnbringer Cleric in that game. It's just an embarrassment. Just doesn't count for a whole lightning bolt. Doesn't trade with any of their creatures. I guess it trades with the Ardent Elementalist, but that's not really the tipping point of the game. So let's see. They played a ton of basics, so I'm thinking these dust to dusts might not be that useful. Cathar Commando is pretty poor. Inspiring Overseer is okay. I guess, yeah, I'm really not dusting. This fourth Lone Missionary seems like it's going to be impossible to get in, so it's really these cards that I'm most intrigued by. Having all the blasts, the Galv Blast and Bullets, means I do think I really need these strands in here. I think Inspiring Overseer is just going to be too low impact. I'm going to trim one Pestilence because it's difficult for easy to get flooded on them, because you need to... The window for Pestilence is much smaller because like you need a lot of mana to have it be good, so you're waiting a while to cast it anyway. It's not like the turn 4 Pestilence like can crush the matchup. Sand has lands and spells. I think it's got to be good enough. So I think that last turn I did specifically missequence a small bit by not counting my mana out well enough at the start of the turn. I should have played that Obscura Storefront a little bit earlier. And the shuffle, that's... Whether or not that shuffle changes the outcome of that game, I think is pretty... useless isn't the word. Useless is too harsh of a word, but like... It's too results oriented. Is that the word? What I'm meaning? Language is hard sometimes. I guess it could be faulty logic to think that shuffle was what lost me the game, and that I would have found a Lone Missionary if I shuffled. I don't think that's an appropriate estimation of that turn, but it would have been better sequencing to shuffle earlier, for sure. When I say shuffle, I'm shorthanding for thinning the deck of my basic lands. It was not like I bottomed cards. I think I'd already shuffled with an Ash Barrens. It's not like I was bottoming cards or bringing cards back from the bottom that I had put there with the scrying, or not the scrying, the mulligan. Excuse me, the mulligan at the beginning. Do I hear Scour Barons number 4? No, I don't need to do anything. There you are. So now, of course, we have a game where Pestilence would look incredible right about now. But usually I find that they ramp a little bit harder than this and play bigger things where it's not quite this convenient. Guess we're having to make some sacrifices here. Usually I feel pretty good about the Monarch, or trading the Monarch back and forth when I have a Guardian of the Guild Pact, but it certainly feels less thrilling here based on how last game went. And I clearly should have just not done anything and just drawn the Prismatic Strands and won that way. Chainer's Edict is just incredibly horrible here. I mean, if my opponent edicts me, but now I'm in. Sure. Yeah, that's very fine. Second Guardian's nice, for sure. So worst case is boarding party into Chainer's Edict. They have the boarding party. Oh, thank God. I saw the black, or 1 and a black mana cost, and my heart sank. I think I'll hold up Strands for now. That's pretty good here. And now, since they already have the Monarch, I'm just going to let this happen, go to 14. And maybe we can get a little Prismatic Strands race happening. Whoa. Let's think about this, William. So I don't know if I've mentioned that before, but yeah, hi, my name's William as well. Occasionally refer to myself in the third person. I've got 5 mana. 6 mana. I have 6 mana. Playing the Skyfisher is a really good use of my turn, because that's going to help make the race even better. So let's go Skyfisher, pick up Omen of the Dead, play Thraben Inspector, hold up Prismatic Strands, and be okay. So if they go Artifact Land and I cast Strands and they just triple Gallop Blast me plus Bolt me in response, then they got me. If they have Flaring Pain in their deck, things also get yucky, but I don't know if they have the room for that. If that's actually a realistic sideboard card for them to access. It seems like it's not, but what do I know? What do I know? I died with a Prismatic Strands in hand versus a mono red deck earlier. I know that happened. Yeah, so the The Strands is pretty face up here. But if you got Flaring Pain, you got Flaring Pain. Pulse of Marasa is interesting here. Lone Missionary from hand is also pretty cool. Let's actually get a spare supplies in play. See, now that's really cool. I haven't played a land yet this turn, right? I have not. And again, this is kind of like last game where like I'm not glutted on cards, so like using my Skyfisher to help make better tempo plays is good here. So like getting this Lone Missionary in play, upping my life total just a little bit here. And I'm just kind of okay naming red anyways here. Alright, so I've got 8 mana to play with. I don't think I want a Custodian Squire this turn. I think that's just not the most efficient way to use my mana. I think like Omen, Get Back Skyfisher, Edict a Creature is like pretty good, and that's 5 of my mana. So I think I want to sack a clue token first. Nice. So I technically should have edicted first here, but this is fine. Just so they make a less. That's actually huge. Wow, that's really good to know about that they want to do that. I just think I'm in such good shape that I don't want to attack. I know they have the Commodore in hand, so like I'm gonna need to start making some attacks in the future, but just in good shape versus... Wow, they don't even play the Commodore. Fascinating. Gorilla Shot. Okay. I accept the Gorilla Shaman. It's A-okay by me. Also, I think that Pestilence draw, I think just now that they're tapped out of most of their things, like there are 1 green spells in Magic that kill me here, but I'm not playing around them. But I will do this in my end step. Just per usual, good Pestilence gameplay. Nice. All right. That was cool. Guardian the Guild Pact is just can be a difficult card for them to interact with. I did describe a large number of turns where Guardian held down the fort, where Chainer's Edict just breaks that game open, and they have Chainer's Edict in the deck. But part of the issue with these Jund decks is, as you're looking at like all the cards my opponents played, I have no idea what numbers they're on. Like, is it 4 Galblast, 4 Lightning Bolt, 4 Cast Down, 4 Chainer's Edict? That's 16 removal spells. That's maniacal. They can't fit that in. But trying to figure out like what those numbers are is strange. Although one comment I will make is now we are 2 games deep without seeing an annoyed Altasaur. So that one just might not be in the deck. That's a possibility. I think I am content with this boarding. It doesn't feel great. Like, there are playable cards in my sideboard. It's not like, oh, you can't play Inspiring Overseer, or you can't play this 4th Pestilence. Like, I could be convinced that there's a way to board here that's better than what I have presented, but I think I presented a pretty reasonable 60 cards to do battle with. And this will be a mulligan. Oh. Oh dear. I can't mulligan to 5 looking for 3 lands, right? That's not a real plan, I don't think. But I will bottom this Pestilence, I think. Just a little expensive for what our hand needs right now. Beautiful. Beautiful. I mean, the full art is also really nice on this. Big fan, but just... Where's up Basilica, ladies and gentlemen? It's the best card in the deck. These are the times when I just got it. I am pleading with you, my polite audience. Just remember game 1 when they had like 8 or 9 basics, 7 to 9 basics, something like that. And I said, I don't want to board in Dust to Dust because they have so many basics. And I am trying not to be angry about that right now. Because, it'd be so juicy here. It'd be 2 Dust to Dust. Imagine just going back to back. Be so good. So good. I don't think Chainer's Edict is likely to get better for a while, so we'll just prevent them from like chipping in for some damage here. I don't really see myself Prismatic Strancing on their turn, so I think I'll just put the tap land into play, although it could be like if they go boarding party here, it could be in a lot of trouble. Into a good hit. They do have like all these cast downs and bolts in their deck that like currently have no hits, which is always nice. Cool. Bit awkward to have this double Omen of the Dead Guardian draw, but that's okay. I, have poked fun at some of the clunkiness of my opponent's strategy, and it's only fair to be punished by the clunkiness of my own strategy of playing regrow effects without things to regrow sometimes, because I'm like a 18 creature deck. Doing it. Yeah, if they bolt Thraben Inspector here, we get to... Oh, that was... I should have played the land. Whatever. Omen of the Dead's an incredible Magic card, by the way. What? I accept these terms and conditions. There it is. Now I'm in trouble. So it's going to be important here to get one of these omens into play, because I'm going to need to have Thraben Inspector and Skyfisher so that we can Prismatic Strands try to kill Annoyed Altasaur. So it ended up not really getting too punished for my sequencing, which is nice. Interesting. Or are we gonna kind of do the... I should have forced them to use the mana. Whatever. Not whatever. That's not good play, but it's gonna be fine. I think I'm content to use the Strands here. It is a clunky spell in this hand, for sure. And with these clue tokens, I've got some things to be spending my mana on, so I think I'm happy to throw it away for now. They've conceded. Wow, okay. That's a very bad matchup for us. But Guardian of the Guild Pact just being an incredibly inappropriate Magic the Gathering card really did a lot just to bring us home there. That was cool. But yeah, that is an important aspect of this deck, that Guardian of the Guild Pact and Pestilence represented at first, but Omen of the Dead is really reinforced with the deck, is Sorulf's Packmate is a 2-for-1. Annoyed Altasaur is a 2, potentially a 3 or 4-for-1. But Guardian of the Guild Pact doesn't care about card advantage. It stays there unless you have the particular ways to deal with it and the particular board state to deal with it, when Chainer's Edict is your method of choice. Core Skyfisher plus Omen of the Dead, that's just infinite 2/3 flyers at a very efficient rate to play against a deck that's trying to assume this mid-range battle. So it doesn't matter if you get your 2-for-1s. If you're spending removal on it, I'm just going to catch back up in card advantage over time. And it's an important dynamic to this deck that lets you go. That's why you go over the top in these mid-range mirrors, how you have an avenue to go over the top. And part of why I'm so spoiled when I play this deck, I really enjoy this, that part of the deck. The inevitability of those cards is just a lot of fun to play with. Whenever I go play another deck in the format like Fairies or Boros Monarch, I'm just horrified by the lack of inevitability that you run out of cards sometimes. That you mill out before you can kill your opponent scares me. And that's not really something that happens too often with this deck. But yeah, so that was a nice little 4-1. Very happy with that result. And don't have too much else to say. Like the mono red matchup that we lost to, it's possible I didn't pay enough respect to the Swiftspears. Maybe I should have just not used the cast down at that time. Maybe I should have held it back, and like decided at their end step to use it, or if I should have strands for turn. But I really feel strongly that relying on strands too much is a great way to lose to Flaring Pain, and you want to try to build your deck right now to not be entirely in on strands losing to Flaring Pain. Because you have no counterplay to Flaring Pain, and you're down on mana in that exchange, and yeah, it's a real mess. So could be, I think calling that a punt is that particular game, to call that a punt, I don't think is great. I was aware of the risk, and I got punished for the risk, and that happens. But a 4-1 is still a great record for a deck that's like been horribly positioned for months. To now be like inching its way back into the metagame is really cool. Really happy to be a part of that and showing it all to you today. So hopefully you enjoyed this league as much as I did. It was great fun. Played against a bunch of different decks, and at least one meta deck in there. So it was cool to still show like why we're back in action with this as well. So let me know what you think, and thanks for sticking around for what ended up being a pretty long video, and enjoy the rest of your day.